I want to thank my patron supporters who are helping me to make more videos more often. If you'd like to become a patron supporter, please go to patreon.com/TJR, the original. Thank you for watching this video. There is a line in the John Mellencamp song, Jack and Diane, that goes, "Hold on to 16 as long as you can." And that's the remarkable thing about Power Up, the new album by AC/DC. It holds on to 16. The other remarkable thing about Power Up is that the album happened at all. During the tour for their last album, Rock or Bust, lead singer Brian Johnson was told by doctors that he would go deaf if he didn't stop touring immediately. And Guns N' Roses frontman Axl Rose stepped in so the band could honor their remaining tour dates. To complicate matters further, drummer Phil Rudd was sentenced to house arrest and convicted for drug offenses before the Rock or Bust tour even started. After the tour was over, bassist Cliff Williams announced his retirement. But most of all, in 2017, the band lost founding member Malcolm Young. Any one of these incidents is enough to take the wind out of any band's sails. But miraculously, AC/DC has managed to record and release Power Up. Phil Rudd served his time, and even a heart attack didn't stop his participation. Thanks to some experimental technology with hearing aids, Brian Johnson's hearing was restored. Cliff Williams came out of retirement. And Malcolm was of course replaced by nephew Stevie Young on Rock or Bust. But in spite of his passing, Malcolm's fingerprints are on every track of Power Up, as all the album's songs take their genesis from earlier recorded demos between brothers Malcolm and Angus Young. Keeping a recorded backlog of song ideas is not an uncommon practice. As a musician and guitarist myself, I have tons of recorded riff ideas stored away for possible future songs. Many of them on cassette tape from back in the day, and many more now recorded on the cell phone and stored away in the cloud. More than I will ever be able to make use of. And I have certainly read of many other guitarists more successful than myself who have similar recorded backlogs stored away. It was Angus Young who dug into this recorded backlog in search of lost demos, gems, and recorded fragments that would be developed into the completed 12 tracks that comprise Power Up. Listening to the album, you would think that Malcolm was still with us. In interviews, Angus Young has stated that Power Up is intended to be a tribute to Malcolm Young. And after listening to the album numerous times, I would have to say, mission accomplished. The album is solid from start to finish. It's all killer and no filler. Some of my favorites on Power Up include the opener, Realize, the advanced single Shot in the Dark, the more kick back, or perhaps I should say kick back for AC/DC, Through the Mist of Time. Also, the somewhat Texas blues-inspired Demon Fire and the Celtic-inspired No Man's Land. But it's all good. I also really like the production on this album as well. The sound is crisp and, even dare I say it, nicely polished, but not too polished. This is AC/DC after all. But every instrument track is distinct and razor sharp. There is also what I describe as a touch of Def Leppard on the album's backing vocals. And I suspect that many of the background ahs and oohs heard on Power Up were recorded once and then sequenced to give them a certain clock-like consistency, similar to what I have heard on Def Leppard albums. And one thing you can't criticize AC/DC for is not being consistent. Some bands reinvent themselves over the years, but I don't think AC/DC qualifies as such. And over the years, they have received their fair share of criticism for not exhibiting a whole lot of musical growth during their multi-decade spanning musical career. And while this criticism may not be factually incorrect, that hasn't stopped the band from delivering solidly good, greasy, heavy rock with just the right amount of dark boogie blues shuffle year after year, decade after decade. And I think that after all this time, even the most jaded of those critics have come to realize that at least in the case of AC/DC, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Because throughout Power Up, the band is able to, as John Mellencamp put it, hold on to 16. Even when age slows down the body and time matures the mind, AC/DC has been able to remain eternally youthful in their music. Snaringly immature and embarrassingly youthful at times, yes, but with all the power and balls to the walls bravado that goes with it as well. Over a decade ago, I reviewed the debut self-titled album by the band The Datsuns. They were at the time a young band whose songs displayed a pent-up hunger that sometimes only youth can provide. And of that album, I said that any band that can make me feel 18 again without having to ingest something illegal is okay by me. And for Power Up, I will paraphrase my own review and say that any album that can get me in touch with my inner 16-year-old is okay by me. This is TJR, and those are my thoughts. Let me know what you thought of this album. By the way, if you like heavy rock like AC/DC, you might enjoy my last video entitled The Melancholy Blues of Little Dreamer by Van Halen. It's an in-depth analysis of one of the lesser-known tracks off the very first album by one of the greatest heavy rock bands in the world. If you like Van Halen, and who doesn't, please check this video out. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please be sure to click like, click subscribe, and smash that bell notification icon so you can know when I release new videos. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all stay safe and healthy. Take care. Bye-bye.